Contemporary Christian artist Michael W. Smith has sold more than 15 million albums, hit #1 on the charts 28 times, and earned 3 Grammy Awards in his incredible music career. Now he can head out for Grandma's pancake breakfast at Cracker Barrel and check out his latest CD in the Old Country Store Music Collection. His album, Hymns, contains 15 classic Christian songs, many of which he grew up singing in his church with his family. Fans have flocked to Cracker Barrel restaurants to pick up the new exclusive Hymns project, propelling the album to #2 on the top contemporary Christian albums chart the week it debuted. Lynn caught up with Michael to talk about the new project.
Catching up today to talk with Michael W. Smith about his Hymns album that he made for Cracker Barrel. This is so exciting. I'm so glad you brought back these songs.
Well, thank you. It's been a long time coming. You know, I sang them in church my whole life. They sort of grounded me, and they sort of made me who I am, honestly. You know, a little church in Canova, West Virginia. And so first of all, you had to be somewhat successful to be able to hopefully one day do a specialty project like this. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Cracker Barrel, who got excited about it as well. I think it's a really good fit, and I think we're off to a good start. So it's exciting for sure.
Great fit. And Cracker Barrel, they're going to be in all of their stores, 626 stores throughout the country, and also digitally. Talk a little bit about how you made the selection of these songs, because there's a big hymn book at church, and there's a lot of songs to choose from.
That was the hardest. That was probably the hardest thing about the record. What songs are going to go and stick? Because I've honestly, when we first started recording it, going, you know what, there can't be just one hymns record. There might have to be 2 or 3, you know. So, at the end of the day, you just go with your gut. You know, gosh, how can you go wrong with how great thou art, and great is thy faithfulness, which is a classic, and the old rugged cross, and softly and tenderly. I did Just As I Am because of the so many memories of my time with Billy, who's such a great friend, and all the crusades that would end with Just As I Am. And then an old spiritual, Were You There, that I've always admired and loved my whole life. And so at the end of the day, you just go with your gut, and here's the 15, and all these others you're dying to do. You know what? They're just going to have to wait for a little while.
And what a friend we have in Jesus. That's one of my favorites. I'm glad that's on there. Let's go back. You mentioned Billy Graham. Talk a little bit about that experience and that part of your career.
Wow. Yeah. I first met Billy in it probably was 87 or 88. We were in Oklahoma City, and I was playing piano for Amy Grant. Like we were in the middle of the Lead Me On tour, and so I met Billy then. I'd done a couple other things by myself with him, but I really became great friends with him when he did the very first youth night in Cleveland, Ohio, which was really met with great opposition, honestly. I mean, when I say that, I mean, it's a long story, but, you know, Billy said the only way that we're going to reach this next generation of kids is we're going to have to change the programming up. So I want to designate Saturday night to have I'm sure it wasn't his words, but we need to get somebody to rock the house. And so I think all the older folks in the organization weren't too keen on that. And I'll never forget that there were like 85,000 people in the stadium, and we watched at least 10,000 kids come forward.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so important.
Oh, it was amazing. It was me and DC Talk back then. Cool. And I cried, and Toby was crying, and then all the staff that were nervous, they were hanging onto the rails weeping backstage. And from that point on, Billy and I became very dear friends, and I did a mini youth night, over the years, and I still go visit Billy. You know, we've almost lost him 10 or 11 times. He's got more lives than a cat, man, I'm telling you.
God's not finished with him yet. We need him.
Keeps coming back, you know, so was honored just to be I got to visit with him a little bit at his 95th birthday party this past November. So, so he's been a huge influence in my life. 95,
if we can all live that long. So, and you started Rocketown. You've done so much for the youth. And I think I read or heard that you were thrilled to do this Hymns album just to hopefully get it out to your young crowd.
Well, I think it's going to introduce, I think a lot of these kids, I mean, when I say kids, I mean the emergent church or whatever. We have all this new contemporary Christian music and the new worship things, and Chris Tomlins and the Carrie Jobs, and those are great. I've written my share of current, pop sensibility kind of worship things, but most of these kids, or I say college kids or whatever, they don't even know half of these hymns on my record. So to me, I feel like, and it's not ego, but I feel like I have the great privilege of introducing this next generation to these great hymns that are, in my book, they're classic.
Yes.
And so we'll see how they respond to it.
Well, thank you so much for catching up with me today, Michael. And make sure you get the Hymns album at Cracker Barrel stores. So good to see you.
You too.
That new Hymns album is available only at Cracker Barrel Old Country Store. So if you don't have a restaurant in your area, check it out online at crackerbarrel.com. We have to take another little break, but I promise it won't be too long since we have lots more music up ahead. In the meantime, you can always check out more Inside Music Row online at Zeus.com or get us on the go with that new mobile Zeus app. Now, when we come back, we'll sit down with a Nashville producer to talk about his family legacy. Don't go away.